All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into the legend of Martin Strayed. Now, this is a story about an Australian rock musician, a Hollywood insider, and, get this, a guy who might have literally coded the secret to his entire life right into his own name.
Okay, so let's start with a song that was actually written about him. This gives us our first clue. I mean, listen to these lyrics. They're not describing your average musician, are they? We're talking about a pirate, a wizard, someone who, right from the get-go is painted as this mythical figure who's just hard to pin down.
And that really brings us to the core question here, one that he apparently even asked himself. Who is this wild, crazy Australian? Is he an artist, a master of fantasy, or is there something else going on entirely? That's what we're going to try and figure out.
All right, so to really get the legend of Martin Strayed, you first have to understand the fall. See, his story doesn't just begin, it kind of fractures. There's this one single, super dramatic event that seems to have completely cut his past off from his future.
And you can literally pinpoint the exact moment his whole life changes. May Day, 1992. The way it's described is this radical departure from social normality. Basically, one wild, drunken, chaotic flight to LA that just drew a thick, bold line between the man he was and the person he was about to become. And what's crazy is, almost right away, that real-life moment gets turned into a song. It's immortalized. The lyric totally captures it, right? The city of angels, the fall from grace. So from the very beginning of this new life, that line between what was real and what was art, it just started to get really, really blurry. So he lands in LA. And what does he do? He builds this career that is, well, it's anything but ordinary. He puts himself smack dab in the middle of the Hollywood machine. And not just any time, but during its most wild, most infamous decade.
So you see this title, Personal Assistant Extreme, and you're probably thinking, what on earth does that even mean? Well, let me tell you, it's not about fetching coffee. We're talking about being the ultimate insider, the guy who handles everything, from creative direction to being the go-to technician, the trusted confidant for absolute rock royalty.
I mean, just look at this list. It reads like a who's who of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And, let's be honest, infamy. For more than a decade, 13 years, he wasn't just some tech. He was the fly on the wall, Tuning guitars, sure, but also breaking up fights for some of the biggest, most chaotic bands on the entire planet.
And honestly, his own words really say it all. They just perfectly capture that raw, unfiltered vibe of the 90s Sunset Strip. It was this world where music, fame, and, well, all the vices, they just slammed into each other. And Martin Strayed? He was standing right in the middle of it all. Okay, but here's where the story gets really interesting. This is the fascinating part. It looks like Strayed himself was the one writing his own legend, leaving clues about who he really was in the last place you'd ever think to look, his own name. And this quote, this really gets to the heart of it. It's his whole philosophy. For him, fantasy and reality, they're not two different things. It was like his life's mission to just mash them together, to blur his creative world with his real life until you honestly couldn't tell which was which.
Kamaya. Talking to me? Name's Quinlan. Hank Quinlan.
Which brings us to maybe the weirdest part of his whole story. A secret that he says is hidden in plain sight, right there in the letters of his name. So the question is this all just a huge coincidence? Or is he actually, casting a spell? Okay, let's break this down. Let's do some decoding. His birth name, Martin Strud. If you rearrange the letters, it's a perfect anagram for trained master. Come on, that's a pretty clear hint of skill and control right from the start. But wait, there's more. Take those same letters, move them around again, and the message gets even more obvious. Mastered in art. I mean, that's basically a declaration of his whole purpose in life. And one more time, move them again, and it spells rare mind state. And doesn't that just perfectly describe the unconventional path he chose, leaving all that social normality in the dust?
But here it is, the big reveal. The name he actually chose for himself, the one we know him by, Martin Strayed, is a direct anagram for damn artistry. That's no coincidence. That's a mission statement, hidden right there in plain sight.
So this just leaves us with one final kind of mind-bending thought. In a life that's been so carefully, so creatively built, where every little detail feels like it's part of the story, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Maybe Martin Strade's greatest creation, his ultimate masterpiece, was actually himself.